Hey there, welcome to Getting Backers. I'm Justin Fox, founder and CEO of Backers. I've got Ricky here. He is the EIR entrepreneur in residence with 108 Securities, the first funding portal on the Backers platform. We'll be talking in three, two, one. All right, Ricky. So, you are the entrepreneur in residence on the first funding portal, regulated funding portal on the Backers platform as part of the Backers network. Maybe to those of you who are watching and don't understand what Backers is or does, Backers is a social funding platform that enables private companies just like yours to raise capital or get funding from their customers, from their audience, and basically they invest in your business and become shareholders in your business. And the way we do that is we are a software as a service platform that enables basically exempt market dealers in Ontario or investment dealers, investment bankers to launch their own funding portals, standalone funding portals under the Backers umbrella, but their own standalone funding portals that are regulated, within the various jurisdictions. So dealers launch a funding portal. So it's kind of like a Shopify type of model. So we are Shopify, and instead of allowing businesses to launch their own e-commerce store, we facilitate or enable dealers to launch their own funding portal. And on that funding portal, just like on an e-commerce store, on that funding portal, the issuers are selling shares. So the product being sold on the funding portal, kind of like an e-commerce store, are the securities or the stock or the shares in those various companies. So the dealers facilitate that within their local, jurisdictional region. In Ontario, it's under the OSC. In Alberta, the ASC. In BC, the BCSC. And in the US, it's under the SEC. And they operate under various crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding exemptions. 45-108 is the crowdfunding exemption in Ontario and a couple other provinces. And in the SEC, there's the Reg C or regulation crowdfunding. So basically, entrepreneurs that list their campaign or list their shares for sale on one of the regulated funding portals like 108 Securities, essentially they are able to raise up to $1.5 million from an unlimited number of investors. Each investor can invest up to $2,500. That's based on the Ontario regulation. In the U.S., there's about a million, just over $1 million cap on how much a company can raise. So, got the entrepreneur in residence. Not to leave him hanging, I felt like I wanted to get a lot out. There's a lot to say, a lot to talk about. We're excited. We've got our first wave of issuers. You're working with them, Ricky. Welcome to Backers Live. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so me, I'm the EiR for Backers and 108 Securities on the Backers platform. I sort of feel like this is a football match or something going on. I'm so excited to be on here. I'm trying to contain my
Your
excitement.
excitement, yeah?
Yes, yes, but definitely, from my point of view, I've done my comp sci degree. A little bit about me: comp sci degree. I've got my software engineering specialization. I've built platforms, and as an entrepreneur, this is something that I was always looking for. Where people get together as a co-op and they bring something to existence or actually grow a business, and that's what Justin has made over here. Where we can bring in the crowd and fuel the growth. And this crowd is your customer as well as your investor, which
They're
is
your backers.
they're your backers, right? So which is amazing. Everybody I talk to, they're really excited because nothing like this has existed before. As an EIR, my job is to make sure the issuer, the people who are actually doing the raise on the platform and getting the crowdfunding done for their business, I'm taking care of holding them accountable on a daily basis. I'm helping them grow their audience because I've got a background in marketing online. I've done a lot of arbitrage with Google and Yahoo. I've built businesses around that. I've done digital marketing before. So that's what I bring to the table as an EIR for the issuers.
Right.
And everybody, we identify what is their audience. We identify what are the things that we need to do, to grow your customer base, to grow your investor base, your backer base. Explain your business and your model to the world. Also identify opportunities for growth inside your business, almost like an incubator, and marketing included inside that incubator. Most of the solutions out there right now, all they do is they can identify this is what you need to do. Now go out and do it yourself. In this model, we are the people who execute on what we're telling you needs to be done for your business, as well as we hold you accountable where this was supposed to happen. We need to finish this task by this date so that we can achieve and get to the goals by this date. So that is something that doesn't happen out there right now. Your marketing company, you can hire them. They're gonna, they've got 50 different marketing customers. They've taken money from you. They don't care if anything gets completed. The money is coming to them. Right now, the onus goes on the business owner or the person, whoever's got that responsibility inside the business to make sure that that is happening. But there is nobody holding you accountable, and walking through the journey with you. And definitely we do that because we become part of your company. I am an EIR like me is your chief marketing officer. I am your accountability partner. I
Business
am
consultant,
business
mentor,
consultant, mentor.
all of the above, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So that's so you obviously you enjoy, I guess talk a little bit about what it is that sort of brought you to backers. I know the story. I think we may have talked about it on another video, but
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about sort of what brought you to the EIR role. You're obviously now working with the issuers that are on the platform, and you're starting to sort of roll with them over the past couple of weeks. I know we spoke with Assad and Jeremy. We were supposed to actually have Ian on today, and I think there's a couple of more guys, another Justin, and Annie, and a couple other people will be coming on in the next couple of days. And so we're going to be rolling out and talking to them about what they're doing. But let's talk a little bit about I think it's kind of a funny story. I'll preface it. So Ricky came through our marketing. So just for the record, I mean, one of the things that I think is actually kind of hilarious is that 2 of the maybe 9 or 10 issuers that we're currently working with happen to actually be marketing companies, in one way, shape, or form. And it's kind of ironic that they're asking us to provide them with marketing support. I think that's kind of ironic, which is cool. And I mean, we are the experts. So, I hear people say this all the time, the expert to the experts, right? So we have that much expertise that they see what we're doing, that they want to be a part of it. So one of the things that we've done, we've been able to grow our audience in the very same way that we help our issuers grow their audience. And just like issuers will launch campaigns on the Backers platform, we too will be launching a campaign on the Backers platform on the 108 Securities funding portal. We too, Backers, will be launching a campaign to raise capital. Stay tuned. It'll be in the very near future, in the next week or two. We will be launching a campaign to raise funds, showcasing exactly how this process works. How it's a 4 to 6 month lead up. Build your audience. Right now, we're probably, with my LinkedIn, with our Facebook page. I think it's about 350, 330, 350 right now for backers. We've got about 1,500 issuers that have come through the funnel. Actually, about 3,000 of them. About 1,500 of them have expressed interest in one way or another, and they are on that list of our audience. So we will be going out to our audience in a campaign just like what we're proposing you do as an issuer or as a business. We're going out to our audience and we will be upselling them with equity. But I think it's interesting, Ricky, about 3 months ago, you came through our marketing funnel and we had a bit of a discussion. And what was your first impression of backers? Go ahead. Tell them the real first impression.
The raw one? Okay.
The raw one, yeah.
The raw one, I obviously definitely love the fact that it is equity crowdfunding. Now, the only problem was when I asked Justin, how many investors have signed up who would invest in my business, and Justin said 0, because my investors are not your investors. Business A is not, the investors that pertain to that business or close to that business. So my own crowd, my own customers, my own audience is the one that is going to be close to my business and invest in.
So what did you think about that at first? You were a little bit taken aback, right?
Yeah, definitely, because this wasn't.
It's a slap in the face. It's counter to everything anyone else has ever said or thought or done, except for ironically the research studies based on hundreds of thousands of campaigns. What actually provides success? It's ironic that the in practice everyone does it the opposite, right? So I mean, to kind of, not to cut you off there, but to kind of put it into perspective, typical equity crowdfunding portals, their thought process is, we'll bring your idea to a existing group of investors, right? And those investors have no clue what your business is or does, and all they can base it off of is a simple one-page campaign on that funding portal. Maybe a video, maybe some information, and it becomes purely financial, right? Whereas, as I explained to Ricky, and that's now why he's excited and has joined as an EIR, is it's your clients, your customers, your users being upsold or investing in your business. And the difference is, instead of the 1% of so-called investors investing or looking at your idea, it's now the 100% of consumers now looking at your idea, and they're the ones that are going to give you the $300, the $500, the $1,000, the $2,500 to invest in your business.
And here's the perspective that that clarifies and gives you the clear vision where we're headed, is that if you have, let's say, even a following of 5,000 people, out of the 5,000 people, if 1,000 of them give you $300 each, that's 300,000, right? So $300,000 to raise, all you need is 300 people giving you $1,000, or 1,000 people giving you 300. So depending on, I see people in businesses who they have a lot of following, but they don't know what to do with it, or they have no following.
And that's what we're going to do. That's your job, is to work with them.
With them and
I
grow
think
their following.
The key to this too is, and the secret sauce, if you will, to backers is, you can come to us with no audience, an idea, a business, a product, a service, B2B, B2C, B to I don't give a fuck what it is, right? You're selling something to somebody, right? Pardon my French. And so you can, if you have no audience, we will work with you to grow that audience. And by growing that audience, you're in essence growing your business, growing the foundation that your business is built on, and growing, your sales, your revenues, your profits, actually growing a loyal customer base that you then are able to upsell with equity, right? So that's the key, I think, is that, it doesn't take a huge audience, you're right, but we will help you get that audience. And when you do that, your business will be that much more, sort of steady or have that much more be that much more sustainable in the long run, because you'll now have an audience or a customer base. I mean, we talk about audience, and I'm sure if you've watched 21-day audience building challenge, or the 3 audience videos in the boot camp, that is key to the modern business, right? Having the ability to reach out to people is key. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk about onboarding, I guess, Ricky. Do you have any you're going to add? I'm probably going to manipulate or take up all the time on this video because I have so much I want to say to these people. It's
Yeah.
like I feel like, there's a lot of people sort of sitting there waiting in the wings, just wondering,
It's just
what is this backers
it's just
thing?
a
What
light
is
bulb that
this?
needs to, it just
Yeah.
goes off, and then you start seeing things clearly, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is just so clear that everybody has, probably, broken these two things away, saying that this is my investor, this is the VC, this is the bank who's going to give me the money, and here are the people who are going to, want to
Buy your
buy it from
product.
me. But why does that need to be separated? All these guys are still taking money from these guys and giving it to you, and then you go selling to the customer. So why not sell to the customer, talk to the customer, grow your customer base, and then ask these guys to put money in you directly, so that you cut out that middleman that is right there, right? Whenever the middleman, doesn't matter what it is, look at and I go back to the Uber model all the time. When you cut the middleman away, be it any industry it is beneficial for both parties involved,
Yeah.
right? And that is what we're doing over here, where these guys who are going to give you the money to buy your product are the same people who are going to invest in your business. Then these people are same going to go and talk to their neighbors, and they will talk about it because now they're a partner in your business.
Yeah, they're super fans.
They're
They're
super
backers.
fans, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're like, imagine if you've got, I was talking to a person yesterday. They make candles. They're talking to home hardware to get their candles in and all that good stuff. So now, so many people buy candles. If I buy candles, it's one thing, but if I buy candles and I invest in the same candle making business, guess what? Every neighbor, every cousin, every party that I go to, I talk about that business. When I talk about it, I'm the super fan. I'm the one who's going to make money by just talking about it, because the company is going to do better, right? No banker, no VC is going to go and just talk about your business to everybody, because they cater to 50,000 businesses. They're looking at, 10 to 20 to 50 companies in their portfolio. They're not going to go and just keep talking about it. But the person who's attached to your business and they're putting in the money in your business and using your product is going
Yeah.
to keep talking about your business.
Exactly, and it's kind of like we use the Apple analogy, right? As sort of it Apple was able to build a culture around their product, right, and was able
Mm,
to really build that it showed who you were if you had an Apple product, right? I
mm,
think by enabling someone who is a customer, client, user, to then invest in and upsell them with equity and allow them to buy shares, stock in your business, and it further strengthens that bond where now you have that discussion with them. They love, like, share, use your product. Now they become an investor in your business, and they become those super fans. So it's really cool to see some of the things that some of the response that we've been getting from issuers who are excited to be launching their campaigns on the very first funding portal, the 108 Securities funding portal, underneath as part of the backers platform. And Ricky's working with them. You actually work with them probably hand in hand more so than anyone else. I mean, I've
yeah.
talked to all of them at one point or another, but you're in the trenches working with them daily. So what is some of the feedback you're getting? We're doing some of the the initial setups and onboarding, and different calls. What are some of the things that you're getting from the issuers? Like, what are some of their comments? I know we talked to Assad there yesterday and Jeremy. Like, what are some of the questions, or maybe things that you go through with them as you're onboarding them? What are some of the things that are happening in your world with the EI, or sorry,
With the
not with
issuers.
the issuers?
Yeah.
Yes.
With the issuers, most of the businesses have not figured out what the power of social media is. Some of them have actually been able to gain followers, but they don't understand what the followers are there for, how they're going to engage them. They don't understand the rules about, how much content should I be posting, how much
What
sales,
type of content
what
versus
type of
yeah,
content, how do I
or
create this
marketing and
content?
sales versus
Yeah.
just informational kind of engaging content,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And also, as a business owner who's got 50 different things and 100 different things to do in a day, and they're busy with it, and sales is number one priority for them, for them to see that, okay, today I got 10 followers, it is not a big deal. It doesn't, ROI doesn't get calculated in their brain right away. What they're not seeing is the ROI comes the day 90, when you've been gaining, 200 followers a day or 100 followers a day. Multiply that by 100, now you've got 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
So now you can push the content out to make the
Well, it's
sales.
an ongoing thing,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
it's and I think we'll talk about the audience
Mm,
component, right? Is
yeah.
having that audience to be able to at a push button, essentially like we're doing here,
Mm,
go live. We get 40, 50, 60, 80, sometimes 100 people in a group that's only 300 people
yeah.
watching this video on a daily basis, right? And we get different numbers of people sort of taking in the content, and our audience grows. And I mean, I think what we're sort of showcasing through all of this is the audience building firsthand, right? Because I started this sort of journey with zero audience. I mean, backers had nobody knew what backers was. Arguably about a year and a half ago, and over the first sort of 6 months, I didn't really go out to the sort of the market per se to even tell people. It wasn't until sort of the summer and early fall that we really started to push this, and in a few short months, we've grown our audience to well over 3,000 across various social platforms. And we've been able to engage with and bring on close to 15, 20 issuers who are now clients, paying clients who are going to then go ahead. We work with them from a marketing perspective. We are helping them, like Ricky said, market their business, grow their audience, and then when they're ready, they're going to launch a campaign, just like we're going to do, just like we've followed the 12-month process, and we're launching a campaign, in a week or so, to raise capital for backers on the backers platform on the 108 Securities portal. We're going to show exactly how the process is done, and you can follow in our footsteps, step by step, how you go about doing this. And when you do the first launch, it only hyper accelerates, across the 4 rounds, right? So
Yeah.
we are literally the test case or use case or case study of the backers model, right?
Yeah.
We're literally, the proof is in what we've been doing. And so when you're watching this, you are part of our audience that we've grown over the past, arguably 6 months.
Yeah. And we're practicing what we preach.
We're practicing
right?
what we preach, exactly, right?
Everybody else wants to talk about, marketing agencies that, oh, we'll do this for you and we'll grow this for you, but they don't do the things that they say that they're doing. They, like, as Justin said, that there'll be marketing companies who will come to us to get stuff marketed
to learn
for,
how to market
right?
their business,
And that is, and
which
it
is
is
cool,
not,
but
which is pretty cool, because the thing is, marketing is one of the products that the marketing company sells. So
yeah,
they
web
could, they could,
development or
yeah,
other stuff.
web
Yeah,
development, they could do 50 other things.
yeah.
So they could just, like, come to us for getting those needs met, and they're, it's essentially running a business.
And they're gonna raise capital on our platform.
On
I
our
mean,
platform, and
so
they're
they
gonna learn.
have exactly. They're gonna learn through the process. They're
Yeah.
gonna learn how to do everything we do, which is great. It's no secret. I mean, we're free to tell everyone what we do. And sign up for one of the plans. Choose your marketing plan, and you'll see how it's done firsthand. And then from there, they're going to raise capital, right? So I think the really cool thing that is maybe sort of a switch needs to go off in people's heads is, one, think bigger than just trying to create yourself a job. Let's create a business that could be worth $1 million, $3 million, $5 million, $10 million, because you can raise between $100,000 and $1.5 million on the backers platform. So you need to think a little bigger. That's the first thing I would say to people. But a lot of businesses don't they don't really know that it's possible for them to go get funding because they don't know that this exists. They don't know that equity crowdfunding exists and that they can actually take their audience, their customer base, and they can upsell them with equity, and that they can actually get money from that so-called retail investor or just everyday person who just happens to love their product, right? They think, the traditional route is friends and family, angel investor. I mean, banks won't look at you for 2 years regardless of what you're doing, pretty much. Maybe after a certain point in time you'll get to a high interest lender, or something along those lines. And then when you're making money, I mean, I know people that work at banks, and it's like you need to be cash flow positive and have this much money in the bank before they'll lend you money.
Yep.
I mean, they lend to people who don't need money. I mean, it's like, right? And then you've got like VCs who will come in, and we talk to them all the time. The bane of my existence with backers is so-called traditional advisors in the marketplace. Accountants, lawyers, people, the uncle, the mentor who are like, oh yeah, your business isn't worth anything. You don't have sales. Go tell that to Spotify that raised, $9 billion with, losing money and no users, right? Like, or, Amazon was losing money for 20 years. Is their business worth something? Of course it is. It's worth something to the existing customer base, and being able to grow that out, right? And then going out to that audience and giving them the chance to invest in it. As an issuer, you're going to get a much better valuation. You're going to get a much more fair look than any shark, any VC. We say the FVC, but they're not going to give you a fair share. Like, we've had people come to us and say, they've offered me X dollars for 80% of my company, or they're going to try and take it 90% of it. Or you've even talked about stories like that, Ricky, where you've had opportunities and people basically try to just scoop up your thing for next to nothing. They want control.
Because at the end of the day, right? Like, it is the VC is there to get as much as they can from you, right? If
they want a 10x return, and they want as much when they get that.
If they remotely think that your idea is good and you've got the money and you've gotten it somewhere, now they want to get the max that they can. And this battle goes on from in the VC world for months on end. The investor says that no, VC will say, I want this much of your business. The business will say, no, I don't want to give this much. And, you want to battle that out, and they want the most that they can give. You want to keep the most that you can. In our model, it is somebody who's passionate about growing the business. That is you, the business owner. And there is a person who is, passionate about your business because they love the product, right? I give the example all the time. A couple of weeks ago, and Justin, I told you this, there were raccoons in my attic, right? And so I went online and I found this gentleman, and amazing guy, came to my house, friggin' took care of all the raccoons, blah, blah, they're gone. And I was thinking that he did such a good job. He was such a fair guy, truthful guy, told me everything, didn't overcharge me. Another company was charging me $3,500. This guy came and did the job for $400, right? I was so thankful to him. And I thought about it. If he had asked me and he said, Ricky, I'm opening another location of mine, in Markham, would you want to put in $300? At that time, I am not thinking about how profitable is your business, how's your this, how's your that. I'm thinking this guy is an honest guy. He did a great job for me. I loved his service. And yes, I'd love to be a part of his business. At that time, I'm not even thinking about returns. Money comes in, a return comes back, well and good. If it doesn't come back, whatever, I helped like your great person out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's, it becomes more of an emotional, you love the business, right? I mean, obviously, just to tie into that, that's a cool story. I think that kind of explains it out a little bit. But they then go to the campaign page. He says, hey, go check out, I've got a campaign on the 108 Securities funding portal, right? They check out a little video. There will be financials there to see, hey, you know what? He did make, $350,000 last year. He is, projecting to make $1 million. He's hired 3 people. the business plan's there, a little bit of an offering document is there, and then the investor, obviously they realize it's a risky opportunity, right? But they can now say, hey, you know what? This guy's providing a service that's needed. I mean, I don't know the scalability of raccoon, attic repairs, but roofing or things of that nature, right?
But
Like
that's the beauty of your model, right, Justin, is that at that moment, I thought about it and I'm like, I go out in a night and I spend $300.
yeah,
If
exactly,
that
right. An
300
investor.
is going to help this guy grow his
And
business,
then you're going to get shares in the
yeah,
business,
yeah,
and then if the business is successful,
I get
the
it.
value of those shares goes up,
Mm,
right? And then
I
on our
get it. And
secondary
now,
market, you can now trade them freely,
really,
and then you can, in six, maybe in a year, 2 years, the value of the share has gone up. You can now sell that share that you maybe bought for 10 cents, sell it for $1 or whatever
yeah,
that
and
is.
another thing, the most powerful thing over here is, guess if tomorrow, like, I buy another house and I've got raccoons in there, who am I calling? I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
calling anybody. I'm calling my own company that I put money into.
Well, exactly. Now, now you may call him, but if you've
Mhm.
invested in him and you know
I'm gonna
everything
call
about
them.
him,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
calling him and you're telling everyone that under the sun to call him.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
If
cool. I mean, we,
there's
we talk
raccoons in
about
my neighbor's house. There's raccoons in my neighbor's house. Who am I going to tell them
yeah,
he call? I'm actually going to walk into his house, sit down with my neighbor, and be like, "Man, this is the company. I even put money into this company.
yeah.
You know what? You guys got
I'm a
you,
shareholder. I'm a
yeah. Oh,
shareholder.
you got to get it done for my company.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm talking
exactly,
about.
exactly. And then, I mean, this is what we talk about, like private is the new public, right?
Yeah.
So, this whole notion of a public exchange and going public, I've said this, in sort of closed doors, to people, but I'll say it out loud right here live on Facebook. Private is the new public, and where I see backers going is I see backers replacing all all aspects of the existing private equity, private placement market, whereby it will replace the existing securities or stock exchanges, where now someone will be able to remain a private corporation. They will get an unlimited number of investors for an unlimited amount of money. Those investors will then be able to freely trade those securities or those stocks on a secondary market at whatever the valuation
And
is that the market determines in a future date.
and,
Meaning that it becomes the de facto funding source for all businesses worldwide.
yeah. And can
Crazy
you?
as it might sound, that's where our backers is going, and that's why we have the mission of helping right now 1 million entrepreneurs, and we've put out a couple of videos over the past couple of days. A couple of the entrepreneurs are working with us, and we're gonna I think Ricky's getting them to put those together. We've got 1 million entrepreneurs. That is our mission: is to enable 1 million entrepreneurs, 1 million entrepreneurs to get funding by selling equity shares in their business. And these are non-voting common shares, meaning that these investors are not taking control of your business. They're not taking any sort of director stake in your business. They are non-voting common shares, and so they just own a piece of your business that the value of which will increase over time if your business is successful. And I think that's pretty amazing. So your success, obviously is their success, and it, at a much more community level. I mean, Assad said it well yesterday about support, like entrepreneurs in Toronto and startups in Toronto supporting one another. This is communities supporting communities, right? Where they can now invest in businesses, local businesses within their community.
And I really think that local is a solution to a lot of problems that are out there. Like if you look at, even greenhouses being in a community where the food is being sold, that is, localized growth. Now, can we get the local people to invest in these local, food growing
Opportunities.
operations and
Yeah.
opportunity? So now you're buying food from your own,
I
grocery
mean, that's the
store.
co-op model, right? I mean, in essence, this lends itself very well to that co-op model, which is another model. But this is a way where now they get actual shares in this business,
Business.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah,
can trade those shares. Those
yeah.
shares will be freely tradable on a secondary market.
Yeah, can you
Um,
explain that? Because the thing is, I understand the meaning of secondary market and all that stuff, and the background, but we need to, clarify what that secondary market is. What
mhm.
is it? A parallel analogy to it or a parallel product.
So, I mean, very simply, it's the any stock exchange that anyone has ever seen or heard of, or any exchange, securities exchange. Essentially, what a market is the ability for one individual to hold that security. So typically, stocks in a company, or debt, or whatever that security is, a commodity, and then there's a market that enables a buyer, so them to list it for sale, and then a buyer to come along and buy it at whatever that market price is. And obviously, the price fluctuates depending on what the value or perceived value potentially of that security is. So, an example is a stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, the Toronto Stock Exchange,
Any number of
the
stocks.
Nikkei, I don't know, whatever, any stock exchange, securities exchange around the world,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
simply put, if they buy if somebody is buying into my business today as I'm getting the crowdfunding done for my business, they will tomorrow be able to sell that share that they bought off of me and sell it to somebody else, depending, like,
at the
if
price that it is,
that is at the
whatever
time.
it's valued at, right? So, I mean, obviously, the market will determine what the value is, and that value will be determined by the success and or failure of the underlying business that
Yeah.
that security represents.
Yeah.
And so, there's some restrictions around some of the the transactional component of it. So it's not just anyone anywhere tomorrow can buy it. There are some restrictions, but essentially we will have and this is one of the biggest problems with private equity in general, is that private equity typically has a 10-year shelf life where you can't actually trade or sell your stake in a business until they exit, until they go public, or they sell to another buyer, which then you would be able to cash out. So it becomes a somewhat illiquid investment. Whereas with a secondary market, from an investor's perspective, it becomes, there is that liquidity, there is that ability for them to liquidate their investment if they need to get the cash out. If the business is doing well, the value has also increased, right?
Yeah.
So
So
we
if
talk.
if they invest, like, let's say, $500 in my business, and tomorrow they can sell that stake that they have in my company for $1,000, they could do it tomorrow, which
Not
wasn't
necessarily
possible.
tomorrow,
I
as in
mean,
the
I mean,
literal,
in the
but yeah,
future,
in the
in
future, at some
let's
point in
say
the
a year,
future.
2 years, 3 years
Yeah,
down the
they
road.
could.
Which,
There will be that ability for, just like a simple user interface,
mhm,
that ticker,
mhm,
BKRS backers, share price $1.50,
mhm,
right? Number of shares traded on the day, right?
mhm.
Buy or sell. If you own them, you would be selling them if you want to sell at that price. If you want to buy them, you would be buying
Buying them
them
at
at
that
that
price.
price,
Yeah.
right? And then below that would be ticker, haunted whatever, right?
Castle. Yeah.
Haunted castle
Yeah.
gaming, right?
Yeah.
So
HCG.
HCG,
G.
right?
Yeah.
And then that would be, and then there'd be whatever visual things, or trying to think of the classes, or the any of the businesses that we're working with, right? They would be listed,
So we're
TRK LDRs, right?
in essence making our own stock exchange where whoever, like a
Securities
business,
exchange,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
securities
it'll be
exchange.
opened up. There'll be a utilizing our software platform. There will be a securities exchange, a regulated securities exchange, where issuers, or so not issuers, investors or shareholders will be able to buy and sell shares on that open market,
And
secondary market.
another thing that you said, like, I think what needs to be clarified, and what a lot of people I think did not understand before because I also got on the phone and talked to the people before they became issuers on the platform. So, they did not understand that what the platform brings for them. The platform actually brings the compliance and the regulation behind the scenes, so they don't have to go and set up forms and send the forms in and figure out what is the
The
regulation.
legal, the compliance,
Stuff,
all
the
of that shit.
compliance, all that stuff is done for you on our platform. You don't need to worry about any of that. We do that while you sleep, while you don't even know what's going on. We make sure that
It's
all the eyes
automated
are
automated investor onboarding.
reporting. Yes,
That's what it is.
investor
Automated
and issuer as well.
and
So
issuer, right? So, but I mean, it's the
yeah,
it's automated investor onboarding. So from an issuer standpoint, the investor onboarding is fully automated, right? You have a campaign on the funding portal. The investor clicks a button. I mean, let me see if let me try and pull up what it might look like. Actually, I have an image. Watch this. This is literally like live, pulling it up while we're talking.
yeah.
Right? I can literally go to my computer and I can show you what it actually looks like. So there is a sample of the 108 Securities. That is kind of a campaign page, right? That is literally what it looks like. So you've got a video, you've got the company name, you've got, the investment dollar amount, you've got, sort of the offering document, that would be, people would be looking at. You've got all of that listed. So if you didn't see it, Ricky, people are actually seeing what the 108 Securities, what a campaign looks like, right? What a crowdfunding campaign on a funding portal. It's basically a website. I mean, it's Shopify, right? What Shopify does is it allows e-commerce or businesses to launch their own e-commerce store, right? What our platform does is we enable dealers, not business owners, dealers, to launch their own e-commerce store. And that e-commerce store just happens to be called a different name, call it a funding portal. And the product on that e-commerce store, aka funding portal, is equity. Securities or shares
of the business.
in the businesses that are launching. So there will be 30 businesses listed for sale, their shares for sale on a funding portal. And each one of those businesses, just like a widget listed for sale on an e-commerce store, will have its own product page. That product page is essentially the campaign page. So it's it seems like rocket science, but it's fucking e-commerce. Right? Like at its core, it's e-commerce for private equity. Right? We're just the platform that facilitates it all.
So I guess we could say simply that we're creating e-commerce stores for dealers where they're going to sell shares. That's it.
That's it. It's e-commerce for equity. Right? It's e-commerce for equity. Let's coin that one.
One thing that people need to understand why they can't go and just do this themselves is because there's a compliance part that we take care of for you. Yes, people are like, why can't I go and ask people to put this money into my business? Well, simply put, because it's illegal. Like, you can't go to a random person and say, hey, invest money into my business. You have to have compliance from the government, from the dealer.
You can't publicly solicit investors on social media, on any other type of platform. You cannot solicit retail investors unless you're going through the crowdfunding exemption in Ontario.
And so
or some other type of exemption. There are other exemptions, the OM exemption, and they have different regulations and the different limits and all that sort of thing. But and we work within those as well. But under the one we're specifically speaking to, you can go raise legally, compliantly, up to $1.5 million from an unlimited number of investors. You can go out on every year, yearly as well. Each investor can put into up to $2,500 per investment and up to $10,000 for the year, but that has nothing to do with each issuer. And you can do it compliantly, legally, under the Ontario Securities Commission regulations, right?
And we're doing that within the next 2
within
weeks
the next
for the
little
backers
bit. Yeah, for
platform
on
itself.
so backers itself will be the first raise,
Yep.
doing sort of just showcasing everything that we're talking about. 6-month lead up, right?
Mhm.
4 rounds. We'll be doing our first round, right? In about, I guess it's in less than 2 weeks, about
Yeah.
10-12 days, right?
Yeah.
We'll be doing our first round.
So
We'll be
you guys,
opening up.
everybody who's watching,
Everyone who's
has
watching can now invest in backers.
backers. So you
If
can
you think
actually,
this idea is mind blowing, which you fucking should, because if you don't, you're stupid. Just kidding.
Okay, so you could actually
You can actually
now,
invest in backers.
so investing, you could actually own shares of backers.
Backers Network Inc., which is the
Yeah.
the parent
Yeah.
corporation of the whole shebang.
Yeah. So it's not the one funding portal; it's actually the whole
The
of
whole thing.
backers.
It's a platform, right? It's
Yeah.
a software like SaaS,
Yeah,
software as a service
Yeah.
platform, right?
And now the beauty, what really, when you asked me, like, why I became the EIR, what drew me to it, and this is the reason, one of the reasons that blows my mind about the whole concept is that now if I am allowed, I can go and own stocks of backers. If I buy stocks of backers, then every company that actually raises on the backers platform, backers owns a little percentage of that company. So in essence, because I own backers stock, I, technically
indirectly you own the success. You own the success of all the different businesses that have raised on our platform. Because actually, each business, when they raise on our platform, we take a cash and equity
tiny percentage of that
on the back end.
Yeah.
And so by investing in backers,
and I remember the first question that I asked you when you asked me if I wanted to be in EIR, and I said, well, what am I going to get? You said this is what the cash is, and I'm like, no, I don't care about the cash.
You want a piece of the game, that piece of the action.
Get a percentage of all the businesses and the backers business and all
that
stuff. And why it is beautiful is because when you go back and you look at all the companies that started before, imagine
working with 20 companies and one of them's Uber,
right?
Or 100 companies and one of them's Shopify, one of them's Uber, and the other one's...
And not even that, I am saying even if I put money into backers and backers come...
Works with 10,000 companies. We're going to have 5 Ubers.
And then there are 5 Ubers out of the whole 20,000. Uber's a $50-60 billion company. Now, just because backers made their initial stuff happen, or they could even be, an existing...
You can do it all through the process.
Through the process. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of company, where you are in your company formation, company journey. If you're a startup, if you're an idea, if you've already taken money from institutions, it doesn't really matter. Crowdfunding is something that you could still use. We could still raise you $1.5 million. And here's the point that I was trying to make, that backers, because I'm a part of backers and I hold backers shares, everything that backers is doing, doesn't matter which funding portal, which jurisdiction, a company is raising money, and if that company becomes and hits the Uber standards or the Amazon levels, then guess what? I also indirectly have benefit from that, which is mind-blowing, which is something that really attracted me to backers.
Yeah, exactly. It's the ability not only to invest. I mean, we're talking now about our opportunity, to join the backers, and we're going to be raising capital under the platform or on the platform in a couple weeks, as we talked about. And that's the cool thing about backers. And if you did invest in backers, you would now own a share in backers, and backers backers would then own a share in all these businesses. So the value of the holdings which backers has would obviously increase with the successes of all those businesses. Not to mention backers' own success, right? I mean, we're going to be rolling this out where we will have dealers operating funding portals under the backers platform in every jurisdiction, and multiple dealers in every jurisdiction, right? So that's the pure sort of backers network. The networking effect of backers is where I think the true opportunity lies. So issuers now are going to be able to launch a campaign on backers get funding, right, they are able to launch on a regulated funding portal, the first one of which is 108 Securities. Ricky is the entrepreneur in residence for 108 Securities. He works directly with the issuers to get them prepared for that process. And then they also work with us on the backers side from a, they have, there's a marketing plan that we set up and we work through with them, and we become a full service marketing agency supporting them through the journey, right? The 6 months leading up to their campaign, right? Mm-hmm. Typically it's a six month lead up. At least
it could be less than that.
It could be less. It's about 4 to 6 month lead up, right? As they build their audience, grow their business, get loyal customers, and then when they're ready to launch a campaign and upsell that existing audience with equity, then they launch a campaign. And we do 4 successive rounds, increasing in valuation, building momentum along the way, and essentially ensuring the success of the campaign. So that's backers. Ricky, I gotta run.
Okay.
Actually, it's been great talking to you, though. I don't have to run because I don't run. We'll probably talk about that another time.
Another day,
Another day. I was in an accident, shattered my hip back in the summer. But I gotta, I appreciate you being on here, Ricky. Is there anything you want to say, sort of just, closing it off to the issuers, to the people that are watching, talking a little bit about, what it is we're doing or you're doing? Any tips maybe that they should think of, when they sign up, the things that they should maybe be asking you? Maybe that's a good question. What do you think they should be bringing to the table once they sign up as an issuer, when they come to start talking with the EiR, the entrepreneur in residence?
You got to be realistic with yourself. What are your strengths? Look back and see what is your track record so far. What were you able to do marketing yourself? Because everybody thinks, I'll be able to do that. That is simple, right? Going to the gym and getting fit is a very simple task. 90% of the people are still not fit. They don't have six packs, is because that simple routine they cannot follow. But when you have some accountability that's going into it, a business partner, a marketing team like we have, you're going to follow through with it. Just like 90% of the people who have, fitness coaches end up getting a better body. 90% of the people who do not have a fitness coach, at the gyms, they have memberships, but they do not get fit. So we are that, coach with you. We hold you accountable. We do the marketing for you, with you. We come up with the business plans. We come up with the growth for you. So almost like an incubator. At the same time, while we're doing that, we can manage your ads. We do your ads just like we're doing it for ourselves. And, proof is in the pudding. Justin and I were talking where we were getting some, leads for friggin' $20. And now, we've been able to bring it down to, what was the project?
Between $3 and $4 per lead.
So now imagine if we've kept the same budget in advertising, but we've grown from, getting $20 a lead to $2.
We're actually at some points in different things. We've tried around, it was at $30, right? So we've kind of through the process, we've been able to bring it down to $3 to $4 per lead. Right now, with all the stuff that we've been working on and sort of, we've been doing this on our own business, which I think is, sort of a testament to the success and being able to actually prove it out. Right now, we're getting between 60 and 80 leads a day.
A day.
60 to 80 leads, inquiries and leads of entrepreneurs. These are pre-qualified entrepreneurs.
And this is not candles or,
it's everything.
Car wash that we're selling. This is, we're finding people who need help with their business and help
people
with their
who need financing and funding for their business.
And this is
entrepreneurs.
And if you've been in the marketing and the online marketing world, you understand how costly those leads are. And to be able to get that down to $2 is phenomenal. And even if you're an investment company, we could help you. If you're a car cleaning company, we could help you. We could help you not only get customers, but raise the money that will help you grow.
If you're a small business, with under $1 million in revenue, we can help you. If you're a SME, small medium enterprise with million to 10 million in revenue in any field, in any sector, in any industry, selling to any person, business, whatever, we can help you. If you are a $100 million company, a $1 billion company, and you want a small amount of money, we can help you.
What about this? If you're a VC, we can help you.
Anyone, yeah, we can help you literally raise money for a VC. I mean, we've got sort of this couple models that we've put in place. We haven't even talked about some of the other funding options or opportunities that we have, right? Obviously, there's the campaign, but we also have the growth capital and the seed capital, which I think mirrors some of the other opportunities out there in the marketplace. Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, okay, but here
we'll talk about the growth capital next time.
Quickly, can you give people an example? Let's say I am a real estate agent or a real estate broker. How can you help me? Or I'm in real estate industry. What would you do?
You're in the real estate agent?
I want to flip real estate industry. Real estate agents all want to flip houses and make money on that, right? So can we come to you and say that, hey, this is a property that I want to buy. I want to crowdfund, get the money to buy out this property. Maybe that's a possibility, I'm thinking, right? And I as a real estate agent, I would buy that property, get the money for fixing up from the crowd, fix it up and sell that property. So this model could work for any business that is out there. Yeah. Even if you're a real estate agent, this could work. Even if you're a brokerage.
Yeah, but I mean, so that's one very specific. I mean, it got into like, B2B. Like people always ask, will it work for my business? I mean, the very simple question is, do you sell something to someone? Mm-hmm. And I don't really know many businesses that don't have a customer, right? Mm-hmm. There's some, or somebody that has some sort of influence in their success, right? I had an example. Someone was talking about, they're a grow op, and their only customer is the provincial government, right? But I started saying, well, what about the community where the grow op is? What are, they started talking about, the mayor. Okay, what about in the council? What about the other people within the city and the people that are buying, the product, right? What all those people, are potential, how are influenced or impacted by your very presence, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get into B2B, your suppliers, your distributors, your the businesses that are buying from you, your customers, your clients, right? All of those people, the people within, the business community. So you get into, whether it's the chambers of commerce, all these people are impacted by your business. And so in the very essence of them being impacted by your business, if you can put out a message that speaks to them and brings them into your audience, your following, they become customers, they become sort of, and it's not all sell, tell. It's more about like talking to them about what it is that they want, they need, that's of interest to them, right? And then offering them an opportunity not only to buy your product or service or to be a part of the community, the broader community, as fans of sports. I mean, this whole idea came, I was trying to start a 3-on-3, I started a 3-on-3 pro hockey league. I was trying to fund the teams. It came across the idea of the Green Bay Packers. That's really how Backers in and of itself came to be. But the notion of the community supporting a business, whether it is a sports team or any other type of business, it's a community. A community means all different types of people, customers, clients, users, the people within the city or the community, the people, the suppliers, everyone. Yeah. They all can be part of your following, part of your audience, part of the overall community, and then you upsell that community with equity. And now they not only are just following along with your story because it's feel good and they like it and they're excited, they now own a piece of your business, a small piece of your business. Right? Yeah. And to do that, it actually was not possible prior to January 2016 in Ontario and the Jobs Act in the US, earlier in 2012, 2013. So now that it is possible, we're rolling it out. It's unfortunate, and the reason we launched Backers is because there wasn't there weren't people offering the opportunity, or that wasn't out there enough, that people were actually aware of it enough, and that they could utilize this amazing opportunity to get funding for their business without having to give up control, without having to pay high interest loans, and basically get funding for their business.
Yep.
So.
All right. So before we finish off, I just thought about the real estate example. Here's my example, and correct me if I'm wrong in this thinking, Justin.
Yes.
I'm a real estate agent. I either want to get customers to buy or sell houses. I advertise. I say, are you a house buyer or are you a house seller? I'm advertising for that, growing my audience for that. From the same audience, I'm going to find some people who want to sell the house, some people who want to buy the house.
Yep.
From the same crowd, I can now say, hey guys, you've bought and sold houses with me. I am trying to flip this property. Now, this property costs X amount of dollars. We're going to raise this, we're going to fix it, and we're going to try and sell it for Y amount. Same crowd that is you put the message out to, same crowd that you
home
sold.
Home buyers, home sellers, they understand you. They understand what a home
even
costs
your
or
brokerage,
doesn't cost.
even your brokerage itself, even the people who are contractors,
the other real estate agents, the contractors, exactly.
Everybody can
everyone
into that house and that property flipping.
Now they can participate in the profits.
There we go.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, guys.
Ricky, getting backers. Get it already?
I do. All right, guys. Bye.
Peace.